Okay, so we're recording.
We're
and you can just do
recording.
share screen.
Okay.
Basic.
Basic.
Safari homeschooling slideshow. You click on that. Now it is shared. And you can do that.
And make it big.
Put this in the corner and
Yes.
do present.
Present.
There you go.
Okay, I am presenting. So that was one of my kids. She's taken CTA 100 at Anne Arundel Community College. And yeah, that came in handy. I am Michelle Herring, and I am presenting how to homeschool through high school. I have, to start off with, I have 4 children. Right now they are ages 16, 18, 20, and 22. And on the screen, you can see also that I am the director of the Mount Oak Umbrella in Bowie, Maryland. This is my email, homeschool@mtoak.org. Mount Oak is our church. On top of that, I have been tutoring a number of years with a tutorial called Bridge Tutorial, where I tutor history and also English, Lit and Comp. On top of that, if you're interested, this homeschooling through high school presentation I'm going to give you is applicable throughout the United States, but I am going to say some particular things to the state of Maryland. Okay, so you've got my information. Feel free to shoot me an email if you have a question. I will get to it and answer it. Usually I'm on it every day pretty much, so I could probably answer any questions. But the first thing you really need to think about when you're homeschooling, whatever the reason is there is an end goal. Obviously, it's to get them out of high school, graduated, but it's not all about academics, okay? You want to make sure that you are looking at bigger goals in mind, specifically life skills. Again, when you are homeschooling, you can really think out of the box, okay? Right now, during quarantine time here, there's 6 of us in the house and we're each taking a turn to cook, and then there's a yo-yo night. You're on your own, or sometimes we order out. So life skills, teach your kids how to cook before they leave the house, right? Lots of examples of life skills. They're under your wing, and take advantage of that while you can. Simple skills, even where's the circuit breaker? Okay, the lights went out. Just try to teach them everything before they're gone. From moving on out of the house. Preparing for life as a citizen. It's pretty self-explanatory. If you are homeschooling for religious reasons, or you have any religion, you want to prepare them what you believe, and hopefully they will continue that in their life. And of course, preparing for life as a husband, wife, father, and mother. So I want to address that before I get into the academics of this. The basics. So probably some of you might be thinking about homeschooling, because right now everything's online. This is about the 5th or 6th week of quarantine here in the state of Maryland. And if you ever want to homeschool, you need to reach out to your county. Just go to the website of whatever county you live in, and usually in the search button there, you can Google a homeschool notification form. You just need to notify the county that you are homeschooling. I have always homeschooled. So from start to finish, we've never enrolled them in public school. I don't know what the procedures are necessarily to get them out of public school. I know how to get them into homeschooling and registered for that for the county. You just go on your county website. In PG County, you have to update that form every year. But once you're registered with the county, you will need to choose between county oversight, sticking with them, which is 2 reviews a year, usually January and June, or an umbrella group. This is something, so they do one step more, which is you have a consultation at the beginning of the school year, and they approve your curriculum, make sure that you're following the guidelines for the state of Maryland, that you're teaching your child what's appropriate at that age level, that grade level. Upside, county is free. There is a nominal fee for the umbrella, but on the upside of the umbrella, there's more guidance, more mentoring, and services available, like transcripts and graduations, or so on. Umbrellas are all registered with the state of Maryland, and they are specifically hosted or under the usually a ministry of a church. Okay, so that is step one. Step two, how do you homeschool? Okay, you start out with the basics of knowing what is required to graduate in the state of Maryland or whatever state you live in. But more importantly, at some point, you're going to have to address what is the end goal. Okay, if you happen to know that already in 9th grade, 10th grade, wonderful. I mean, I had a few kids that had no clue what they wanted to major in by the time they got into college. So, but they knew they wanted to go to a university. Some people know, you know what, we don't want to do the university route right away after high school for monetary reasons or whatever reasons. They think maybe their child just needs a little bit, they're not quite ready for a 4-year college, and they think maybe they need a little bit more growth and make sure that they're really college ready. And a really good place to start with that is community college. Or do they want to go straight into the military after high school? Vocational, take a gap year, trade, apprenticeship. If you do start homeschooling, you really need to know what your options are. If you homeschool and then try to re-enroll in public school. I know where we live in Bowie High, if you tried to go back into the public high school, you would have to take placement exams or pass certain exams in order to get those credits. So even though maybe you did a year or two homeschooling and you've created your transcript and they finished curriculums, you still, that the public school wouldn't take that for face value. You would have to pass an exam in order to get those credits or take those classes over again. So find out what your public school will do, because sometimes once you start homeschooling, you just have to finish that commitment and do that for the 4 years. Or even you can do it in 3 years. I know people who do it in 3 years, a lot of people. So here we go, Maryland state requirements according to COMAR, which is the Code of Maryland Regulations. The graduating class for 2021 and beyond is, at least for the State Department minimum, okay, is 21 credits. It's 4 English, 3 math, and you can see it's Algebra 1, Geometry, and 1 other math. It could be Algebra 2, it could be Consumer Math, it could be Algebra 2, then Pre-Calculus. It could be, my kids usually do Algebra 1 in 8th grade, so we start Algebra 2 and then do Geometry, Pre-Calculus. Maybe I usually dual enroll my kids by the time they're 16, so they're taking either college algebra or statistics or pre-calc or calculus 1, you know. So you, at a minimum, you need 3 credits to graduate. In history, you need 3 credits, 1 for US, 1 for world, and 1 for government. A credit is a full year curriculum, basically. A half a credit is usually a semester. Science is 3 credits, biology with lab, chemistry with lab, and 1 other with lab. And you don't have to stop at 3 credits, people. I just want you to know, I always do 4 years. We usually throw a physics in there or marine biology or something else that they're interested in. You have to have fine art, 1 credit. PE, at a minimum, is 1/2 a credit. Health, 1/2 a credit. Tech ed, 1 credit, and your electives are 5 credits. When I say minimum, this is the state requirement. Your county may be a little different. I know PG County, where we live in, it's 21 credits. But if you go just, 7 miles that way, you're in Anne Arundel County, and they require 26 credits, I believe, to graduate. 4 years of math, 1 full credit of PE, and 8.5 of electives. So you need to know your county, what the county requires. If you join an umbrella, like the umbrella I run and other umbrellas, they usually just stick with the standard, the minimum. But if you go through the county to be reviewed, you have to do what the county requires. Okay, so I think there's a little more flexibility with an umbrella. Electives, let's go to that one. Typically, it's 2 credits of either world language or American Sign Language, or 2 credits of advanced tech ed, or 49 credits of Maryland State Department of Ed courses and any remaining credits. Really, it's just for homeschooling, it's whatever is over and above the minimum. So your electives could be that 4th year of math or 4th year of history, take a world geography or something. It could be sewing, it could be dance 1. You can have dance 1 freshman year, dance 2, dance 3. I mean, as long as the dances are relatively different or stages of different levels. I recommend you see what your child is passionate about, what their interests are, and you can basically manipulate or make a class or find a curriculum that interests them. So for my youngest, she loves design, so we did design 1 her freshman year, lots of sketching and drawing. Design 2 the second year is a lot of stuff on the computer. Design 3 is more sewing, higher level sewing. She definitely wants to follow the passion of her creative outlets. So she wants to apply to colleges where there's fashion design or fashion merchandising or any creative arts stuff like that. You want to tailor her transcript to look like she's done a lot of that stuff, or show the college that, yeah, she's been doing this for years and she's been pursuing it. So or if your kid loves computers, engineering 1, all the different computer stuff that you can do, that you can find with robotics, with classes, with take a course, like there's CTA 100, there's also 111, access your community college source or other outlets out there, or even tech video. You can make that a course. You just have to have regular thorough instruction, and you just have to keep track of it and show how you came up with that grade. So let's move on. Something very important is to make sure you project your 4 years in pencil. Write down a strategy for 4 years in pencil, because I guarantee you it will change over time. So here's a sample. You can call it English 1, English 2, English 3, English 4, or you can call it whatever the class really is, as far as, is it American literature and composition? Is it classic lit and composition? Is it British lit or world lit and composition? Or just keep it English 1, 2, 3, and 4. Algebra, you can see there, I'm looking at year 1. World history, physical science, Spanish 1, if you choose Spanish, phys ed. I put Bible there because under our umbrella, since we are a Christian umbrella, we do personally, with our umbrella, require 2 credits of Bible in order to graduate from our umbrella. So we basically encourage a half a credit every single year to get to that goal. So you can see here, I give you a sample of penciling it out. A number of people do tutorials, and they're sort of at the mercy of what's available for what courses at what time slots. So maybe, US history is going to be in year 1, and American government in year 2, and world history in year 3. You can just move things around. Obviously, you're going to have to do Algebra 1 before Algebra 2, but certain subjects you can move around. You don't want to be taking chemistry or physics your freshman year. You want to make sure you get your algebras done before you do those type of sciences, because those are a little more math heavy. You can do your fine art in year 1. I just gave you a sample of what you could do if you wanted to do it. Okay, so if you want to take a snapshot of this, you're going to be seeing this is sort of a standard as far as going for like science. You do a physical science, and then a biology, then a chemistry, and then a physics. Typically, that's sort of what you see when you go on a number of websites that have curriculum for science. They recommend something in that format or that timeline because each one is a little progressively harder. So let's move on here. Electives, again, any class over the requirement, and I'm giving you a whole bunch of different ideas. You have additional core subjects, you have robotics, engineering, computer code, home and car care tech can fall under tech ed. So we had a class at our co-op that was a semester long, and they did things like that. That meant you would repair things, look at the circuit breaker, get under the hood of the car, and so on. Graphic design is more tech ed. Let's look at fine art. Fine art can be what you would typically would think it is: drawing, music, drama, but it can also be art history. It could be dance, chorus, sketching, drawing, pottery, glass blowing, whatever you want to do. Just please note, dance can fall under PE or fine arts. For sports, it's a one-time half a credit. Usually that's given because from what I've done the research on, once you've learned how to play soccer, you've learned how to play soccer. So they don't typically give you extra years of credit for that, even though you play all 4 years. You would just get a one-time half credit or full credit the year that you do it. The only exceptions are things where there are levels, like karate, white belt, yellow belt, green belt, and so on. Skating, where you go to, alpha, beta, gamma. Gymnastics have certain levels that they definitely have to get to. So sports is typically just, you can do sport. Say you do soccer your freshman year, great, give yourself credit or half a credit for that. The next year, if you did volleyball, sure, yeah, throw that on the second year because it's a different sport. Let's look at foreign language. You can go 4 years. You can do foreign language all 4 years. I have a kid that's doing that with French. So years 3 and 4 are typically considered electives. I would still put it under foreign language, but it goes towards the elective and not the core fulfillment. You can do work study programs. You can do an internship, and you can count that as credit. I'll get to that and how you do that in a minute. A lot of it has to do with logging your hours. So you can also get a half a credit. This is what the state schools do, public schools. Whenever you study for SAT, again, you got to log the hours because a half a credit has to be 60 hours. You can get up to a half a credit for English and a half a credit for math with your SAT or ACT prep or whatever. Questionable. Some people like to try to get a half a credit for driver's ed. I usually don't recommend that. I mean, to me, it's a rite of passage, but it's up to your school district and what they say. The other thing that is very important is that your student needs a resume, whether it's for employers or for college. They should be keeping track of what they're doing outside of things academically. So typically for a student resume, I suggest 4 main categories: extracurricular activities, awards, leadership, and volunteer services. Okay, so extracurricular activities, this is where I really want to focus on helping you guys realize the importance of a resume like this. When you apply to college, they want to see a well-rounded student. They really want to see over and above, what have you done compared to your transcript. So not everything has to be a credit on the transcript, okay? If you take a CPR course, first aid course, if you already have a health half a credit, don't put it on the transcript, put it on your resume, okay? Not everything has to be on the transcript. Save some for the resume. My kids all usually start working around 14, 15, part-time, whatever. I could make it an internship or a work study or whatever. I don't. It goes on the extracurricular activities to show that they do stuff outside of school. Okay. Awards. A number of my kids played piano. They got piano awards. My son got the Eagle Scout. My daughters are working on their congressional awards. If you don't know what that program is, it's a phenomenal program. Look it up, Congressional Award. It comes straight from the Capitol, from Congress. And one of my daughters has already been to, it was about a year ago, she went and got her bronze medal, and it was awarded by Steny Hoyer, which is our Maryland State Senator. So there's a lot of accolades with that. It shows that they go over and above and have done things that are community involvement and other activities. I wouldn't say it's exactly quite on par as an Eagle Scout, but it's very close. If you can get that gold medal for the Congressional Award, it's really, really close to getting an Eagle Scout. An Eagle Scout is very, very impressive to colleges, to the Naval Academy, West Point. I mean, you name it, they love to see Eagle Scout. Leadership, whenever you get a chance or they have an opportunity to do anything in leadership, do that. Can you be the co-captain of a soccer team? Can you be the debate team leader? You know, just make sure you keep track of that and log it on the resume. Volunteer services, of course, you're required to do volunteer hours to graduate. For us, I think our umbrella requires 50 or 60 hours, but on average, my kids have well over 200 or 300. I know for the Gold Congressional Award, it's 400 hours, and my one daughter is about 15 hours away from that, getting her gold. So we do a lot of stuff with our church, but we also do things locally and not so locally. We went to, Give Kids the World, which is part of the Make-A-Wish Foundation. That was in Florida, so it was half of a fun trip for us and half, you know, helping out these Make-A-Wish families. I just really want to encourage, keep track of that too. It will come in handy. What constitutes a full credit? So if you didn't know this, you need to show regular, thorough instruction when you teach. Okay, so when you get reviewed in January and in June, you typically show progress reports of where you are so far, you know, into the curriculum, and samples of the work they've done. More importantly, just samples of the work they've done that you're regularly teaching them. So regular thorough instruction of a full year curriculum that is at least 75% completed. Obviously, if you're teaching math, you want to finish that. You really can't go on to Algebra 2 until you've completed Algebra 1. But legally, if you only get through 75% of your, you know, biology book, you can, if you wanted, call it a day. I typically never do that personally, but that is the what constitutes a full credit with curriculum. Or if you want a one full credit, you need 120 hours of an activity. So say you were doing piano at home, and that's going to be your fine art. If you do 60 hours through about, I guess, 119 hours, you would get a half a credit. You have to hit that 120 hour mark to get the full credit. Same thing with PE. You would just log the hours. Were they in that activity? Okay. Volleyball, you know, is a fall sport. If you're with a league in the fall, like my daughter was it Greater Metropolitan Area of Christian Athletes, it came to about 70 or 80 hours that she played volleyball from August to about November 1, and that was a half a credit. Okay, you just log the hours. Or, like I mentioned earlier, my kids usually dual enroll at 16. We are doing this because I want them to be college ready, and they want to, they all really want to go away to college after high school. So colleges want to see that you're college ready, and mom giving you A's in every subject is not really flying with them when you're applying to these competitive four-year colleges. So what I tend to do is show that they've taken college courses, and I knock out courses that they also get credit for in high school. So they always take public speaking there. That pretty much transfers everywhere. So one full semester of a college course that is at least 3 credits of a college course gives you 3 credits typically. Sometimes you get 4 credits for a course with a lab or something like that. But if it has 3 credits, I put on the transcript that you've completed public speaking for 1 full credit. Okay. Other classes we've done there are English, the computer tech course, geography. I'm just thinking my one daughter, psychology she's taken, also developmental psychology, and she's getting ready to take abnormal psychology. She also took college algebra there and statistics. No, she didn't take college algebra. She clept the college algebra. And then she found out what her university that she applied to and got into, what they needed for what she was going to major in. And it was a statistics class. So she took it her senior year in high school to make sure she never had to do math again in her life, because she's already done it. And now, as a psychology major at ECU, she already started to take classes that she knew she would need for her major and that they were definitely going to transfer over. So doing dual enrollment is really nice. You can knock out that tech ed class that you need by taking it at the college, because you need 1 full credit to graduate in the state of Maryland. Okay, I hope this is all making sense and I'm not going too quickly. So before I get to this, where do you find curriculum? There's lots of places. I think I have a slide coming up, but do yourself a favor and tap into the homeschool community network. There's Facebook pages. I think there's one called Maryland Homeschoolers. There's also one that is broad for the whole country that literally is how to homeschool in high school. And you can ask questions and join those, and you can get lots of information. But a number of, once you tap into it, you will see there's a lot of curriculum out there that is very, very good curriculum for every core subject that you need. So once you've completed, or while you're doing the curriculum, you will eventually at the end of the year have to assign a grade. If you're doing a dual enrollment class, they assign the grade. The professor is 100% in charge. You have to put on your transcript whatever grade that's given from the community college, okay? If you're in a tutorial where the tutor is sending out grades, progress reports, just know that that's usually pretty spot on from what I've experienced, but you can tweak it. You are the teacher. They're not the teacher. You, by law, signed that form that you were going to homeschool your kid, so you are the teacher. I tell my parents that have kids in my classes, if the progress report is what the progress report is. It I enter all the different homework credits and exams and quizzes, and at the end of the year, it spits out the report. Well, guess what? If you have an 89, you're the teacher. Assign another project or assign more work, and count that, take the progress report, and then add that extra work in and bump that grade to a 90. It's up to you. You're the teacher. Also, if you're doing coursework at home, really homeschooling, again, you're the teacher. You can basically make the grade system within reason what you would like it to be. So work to the strengths of your child. Okay, so if they're just not a good test taker, I've got one of those kids, then focus on giving the more leeway of their grade for completing assignments, completing homework. Okay, so I got a few examples here. 100% completion based on hours, just give a grade. PE, music, it's usually an A. Okay, keep it simple. 50% and 50%. 50% of your grade is homework. The other 50% is exams. Vary according to your child. 50% assignments, 25% labs, 25% for exams. Okay. Another is 40% homework, 40% tests, 20% projects. These are just examples. If you want, you can make 20% go for the tests and 40% for the projects. You're the teacher. English, typically you should really make sure they know their grammar, okay? If they're not very good at grammar, make sure they've got a grammar book. Usually, definitely by junior year, they should know their grammar. So I do something called Shirley Grammar and also EEL, which is through, I think the IEW and EEL was through Classical Conversations. And Shirley Grammar it's pretty high level grammar of pounding in those things you need to know, and by rote memorization sometimes. Also vocabulary, make sure you expand their vocabulary every year. Vocabulary book, or if they're reading a book, you can go online and you can just type in the name of that book and vocabulary that goes with that book, and then they can learn that vocabulary with what they are reading. Poetry, that's always nice. Reading, participation, create rubrics for essays, all those can go into your manipulation of what the final grade will be. If you want, you can just make it, your grammar book, vocabulary book, your homework assignments, reading, and essays, and that's 5 different categories, 20% for each. Okay, let's move on to transcripts. What's important about the transcript is that you include the school name, your student info, names of classes, credit amount, and grades. They want to know, this is for colleges typically, they want to know the annual, or the by year GPA versus the cumulative, the 4 years. They want to know cumulatively credits by subject, expected graduation date, how the grading scale was done, if you do a 4.0 or if you do it out of 5.0. Anything that is specially designated, like if you did algebra 1 and 2 in middle school, you could put that on the transcript still, but make sure you note that this was completed in middle school, or something was weighted. I usually give a higher, I usually do 4.0 scale, but if you get an A with honors class, or an A that is doing, from college, that's a higher level of work. So I will give them a 5.0. So that is weighted. So your kid can graduate with a higher than 4.0 GPA. Make sure there's signature of principal or guidance counselor and an area for the date, and an optional space for scores for SAT or ACT. You'll find that when you do college applications, which is pages and pages of stuff that you got to fill out, they're going to ask for that stuff anyway, and then they're also going to ask you to send that form, the actual real score directly from the College Board. They're not just going to believe you for it, but they will request that. So let's go on here. You're probably wondering, wow, I don't even know where to begin with a transcript. Well, here you go. Go see some samples. It's pretty easy, and you can pay someone to do it. HSLDA is the Homeschool Legal Defense Association. It is a great resource if you're, for pretty much everything. Just hop on that website, check it out. It's great if you have a kid that, if your county or government or whatever is giving you grief about homeschooling, to the point also a lot of resources if you have a kid that has some special learning disabilities, you just need guidance in any way or support in any way, they are a wonderful source. Also, let's homeschoolhighschool.com. Go check out that website. It's a great resource. It also will help you see some other great curriculum for certain subjects that are usually taught in high school. Academicrecords.net. It's $15 a student. But when you're on that site and you go there, you can see sample transcripts and what they look like. But these guys will make it look really professional looking, so you don't have to create one on Google. I don't recommend that. I recommend going to one of these places, or if you know how to manipulate the template, you can download it and do it yourself. But again, there's resources for that too. You're probably thinking, wow, is homeschooling, do I really teach everything at home? Well, you've already heard me talk about tutorials and dual enrollment. Again, find someone who you know who homeschools, and then just ask questions, start prodding, just gather as much information as you can, get involved in some sort of group, or whether it's online or a tutorial, a co-op. find someone who's a little seasoned, who's been doing this for a few years, and just go to town asking lots of questions. People usually love to share information. I personally really looked towards a couple of women and saw what was working for them, and would ask a lot of questions going, how'd you do this? How'd you do that? And they shared it with me, and it made sense. So follow your COMAR guidelines of providing, again, I cannot stress, regular, thorough instruction in the studies usually taught in public schools to children of the same age. You can do homeschool. This year, I think I did world cultural history at home with my one daughter. I just found it fun and interesting, and she did a lot of maps and studied countries and learned about countries while doing the maps and learning the culture. And we also pulled in current events. I get Time magazine every week, and it was just a nice way to learn and also learn current events and get that full experience of how does the history and culture, how's it changed over time, what's going on in that location, and so on. But you can homeschool other subjects too. I've done biology at home, and that was real fun. What have we done? We dissected a pig. Oh. Anyway, you can do tutorials and co-ops. So needless to say, after that first child and dissecting the pig and whatnot, they went on to do chemistry and other subjects at the science, with the science teacher at Bridge Tutorial, who did labs, and that was wonderful. That was sometimes it's nice to get third-party validation. Your child sometimes doesn't want mom as the teacher all the time, and it's good to get them in with other homeschoolers. So when it comes to tutorials or co-ops, this is typically an off-site location, typically once or twice a week at a church. It sometimes is really a cooperative where every parent chips in, whether you are teaching something or your support staff or you're watching little preschoolers while the other kids are learning because other moms are teaching. Or it could be more like a tutorial where it is like an a la carte class, and you can pick and choose what classes you want your child to take. And some of them are all-in-one curriculum. So if you did a tutorial like Classical Conversations, it's one tutor in high school that teaches all the subjects, and you have to buy that curriculum for that year. So if your kid doesn't want to learn Latin, too bad. You're going to have to take Latin in high school with Classical Conversations. But I know with Bridge, it's you pick and choose what you want to take. You can take one class, you can take 6 classes. There's also online accredited classes like ABEC Academy. So you can do everything online and you actually get accredited. So if you did opt to move or put your kid back into public school, this should be, accepted because it's accredited. So these classes are legitimate classes that are state approved for public schools. I think those type of classes are a little more pricey though. And then of course there's the local community college. And check out the local community college. I know with PG County, it's half price for high schoolers. And then if you take a course when you're a senior in high school, if you go there the next year, it's still half price. You get into that program where, oh, you're a high schooler and you're still coming here. We're going to honor that half price. So like I said earlier, hslda.org is an excellent resource for how to homeschool through high school. And another one as far as choosing curriculum and so much more is Kathy Duffy Reviews. So check out those websites. What is really important is if your kid is college bound, if they really want to go to a 4-year university after high school, you really need to start thinking about things by sophomore year, because when you apply to a college, it really only shows what's on your transcript for 3 years, right? So those 3 years need to be a little on the impressive side. So make sure you don't delay in doing certain things. One of them being showing that you're college ready. So usually, like I said, by 16 or their junior year, my kids are taking a few courses at the community college. The reason I'm a little bit more rigorous like this is because University of Maryland is pretty competitive. So I knew they had to show an impressive transcript, but also you want to set them up if you know they definitely want to go to college afterwards and apply to a university. You want to set them up to the best of their ability to look really good on a transcript and with the resume. So like I said here, by junior year, take coursework that proves you're college ready. Other options include AP exam, the SAT subject exams. You can now take just subject exams and they can score that for you and show you how much you really knew. And not that that would count as credits, going over, but you can at least show the colleges, yeah, you were very, very proficient at biology or whatever. I tend to do CLEP exams with my kids. The AP exam is usually just held in May. CLEP exam you can take whenever you want. So for example, my kids do the advanced math with Saxon, and that's basically pre-calculus. And they're also usually studying for the SAT exam. Between those two things, by the time they finish their junior year with the advanced math, I put the college algebra CLEP exam in front of their face and I say, take this, see how you do. The first time I did that, my son only got 7 out of 80 questions wrong or something like that. So the very next day we signed up at the community college after I got paid for it on College Board. And he took the exam, easily passed, and got 3 college credits for $80. The thing to know about that is University of Maryland does not take college algebra, but for pre-calculus that year on his transcript, since he passed the CLEP, I gave him a weighted amount, and it also showed the University of Maryland that this wasn't an A, just another A mom has given him. He really earned this and he did college level work. So it's more rigorous. So that's why it was weighted. So when you can do that, do that. It's if they're good at math and they're doing great with pre-calculus, check out the college algebra CLEP exam. Also, a few of my kids, we don't do American history all in one year. We usually do American history 1 and then American history 2. The following year, you can CLEP those. And a couple of them did that also. It's that the one thing, if you do that, just look at the colleges you're going to be looking at. Some take them. I know, UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore campus, takes a lot of CLEP exams. University of Maryland, College Park, they only take about 12 out of 36. But they do take government. They take the government CLEP exam, so we did that also. Again, think about big achievements that can be accomplished before senior year. So one thing I was thinking about was, okay, Drew, come on, let's knock out that Eagle Scout. You're ready, you're a junior, by the summer, make sure you've gotten your Eagle Scout done. It was just a matter of paperwork, fill this out, do that, and let's make sure you're stamped, you have your Eagle Scout, because then when you apply for college, you can say, hey, I'm an Eagle Scout. So think of those big achievements they can actually do. Don't delay, don't wait till senior year. Try to get it done before they begin their senior year in the fall. If you want to, you can visit colleges. There's wonderful virtual visits on site. And also, if there's colleges you're looking at, make sure that you can actually get in. Some of them do require a minimum of 2 years of foreign language. Some require 4 years. If you look at Harvard and Yale, they want 4 years. The standard recommendation is to narrow down your college options to 5 choices. 1 to 2 rich schools, 1 to 2 you probably know you're definitely going to get in, or maybe get in one easy school, one you know. So it's just important if you are college bound. I just want to emphasize this: get it done as much as you can before senior year, and make sure you sort of hone in on a couple of those colleges you're interested in, and make sure that you will be able to have those things that you need in order to apply to go there completed. Again, don't forget, if you're college bound, take the SAT or ACT a second time in the fall. If you are college bound, don't take it easy. If you only need 21 credits to graduate and you've got 18, don't just do 3 credits to graduate. Make sure you do that 4th year of science, that 4th year of math, that just keep that momentum going, because they're going to want to see what your grades are halfway through your senior year anyway. Best practice is to complete more than 21 credits. Make sure you know all your college application deadlines. Ask for recommendation letters early. Do this in September. Update your transcripts to include senior classes, and update your resume, because when you apply to colleges, they want to know, okay, what you've been doing out there. Budget your time to complete lots of essays for applications. Research scholarship opportunities and budget time for those applications too. Just note that there are more things than just college out there. A 4-year college. You can look at community college, which is an amazing opportunity, especially there's so many programs where you can get into where they have scholarships, or they have that program where you can get scholarships or discounts as long as you stay in Maryland and work in Maryland. So they have what's called the Maryland Transfer Advantage Program. So if you graduate with your associates and you have a certain GPA level, you can transfer directly into a Maryland State 4-year university. You have to check with your guidance counselor at community college and use ArtSys. This is a fantastic option to get half your bachelor's degree done by saving a lot of money. Military, meet with your recruiter junior, senior year to understand the requirements and procedures to join. Trade school options, again, start researching those and make sure, or test them out. Do an internship or job shadow. See what really interests you. Or you can take a gap year, work for a year, save up, figure things out. Mission trip is always an option. Well, not right now because you can't fly anywhere. But I did have a niece that did YWAM, which is Youth with a Mission, and she absolutely loved that. But then, she did also go to college. Finally, your senior year. You guys get to that 4th year and you see the light at the end of the tunnel. So senior year, typically we have graduation, at least with Mount Oak Umbrella, somewhere around Memorial Day weekend. Don't know what's going on this year. And we usually have prom the end of April, beginning of May. That hasn't happened either. But normally there are graduation ceremonies, and there are a number of proms out there. Again, hop onto Facebook and join a couple of different groups, and you'll see emails and postings and stuff flying around that will share information about all these activities. You can check with MACHI, the Maryland Association of Christian Home Educators. You can check with HSLDA with different graduation stuff and prom. I know there's a big one in Columbia, Bridgeway Homeschoolers. There's an 1,100 seat theater for graduation. I know if you're part of Bridge Tutorial, we always have a graduation, and usually with Mount Oak and Bridge, we provide a prom. Check your umbrella, or your tutorial. There's a lot of stuff going on that's out there. Once you tap into the community, I keep telling you, tap into it and you will just be like, whoa, there's so much out there. And again, I've been saying, look on Facebook. So I think that's pretty much it. I've got, like I said, now 3 kids I've graduated. One went to University of Maryland College Park. One is at NC State, and one is going to ECU in the fall. And they all sort of did it a little slightly different as far as the classes that were the electives that they wanted to do because they had their own interests. So focus on those passions, and while you can have them take classes that they're interested in, you know, I highly encourage you do that. But there are also classes that you just have to take to graduate. So, and we know that's like algebra and geometry. Check out the Maryland State Department of Ed if you want to know details, because sometimes they'll change things year over year. So so for example, for graduating class of 2020, you just needed biology with a lab and 2 more sciences. Beginning next year, you need the biology and the chemistry and 1 more science. So, and that's where your county reviewer, your county oversight, or your umbrella oversight should clue you in on that stuff too. If you have any questions, feel free to go back to what you saw on the first slide. You can email me at homeschool@mtoak.org. And I wish you much success in your homeschool through high school journey. God bless.